The streets of Dublin have long been witness to the ebb and flow of criminal activity, but few conflicts have left as deep a mark on the city's recent history as the Kinahan-Hutch feud. This violent struggle between two prominent crime families has not only claimed numerous lives, but has also torn apart communities and left innocent bystanders caught in its deadly crossfire. At the heart of this narrative lies the story of John Hutch, a man whose life became irrevocably entangled in a web of violence despite his lack of criminal involvement. On a seemingly ordinary day in September 2016, John Hutch's world was shattered in an instant. As he returned home to Drummond Avenue in Dublin with his wife Vera and visiting daughter, the tranquility of their family reunion was brutally interrupted. A speeding Opel Astra screeched to a halt near their home, and from it emerged a figure that would haunt the Hutch family's nightmares, a hitman, armed and determined. In those terrifying moments, John's survival instincts kicked in. With remarkable presence of mind, he managed to dash into his backyard, securing the gate behind him. The hitman, in his haste, fumbled and dropped one of his weapons. Undeterred, he reached the gate with his remaining gun, firing indiscriminately over the wall and into the garden where John had sought refuge. The family's brush with death was all too real, the sounds of gunfire shattering the peace of their neighborhood. The attack's premeditated nature soon became clear. Investigators later discovered that the hitman had meticulously tracked John's movements for days, even going so far as to plant a tracker on his Nissan. The getaway vehicle, the Opel Astra, was found burned out, a common tactic used by criminals to destroy evidence. While John Hutch escaped with his life, the incident left an indelible mark on the family, particularly his daughter, who witnessed the entire horrifying ordeal. This attack was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger, more sinister campaign of violence. John Hutch, despite his lack of criminal connections, found himself in the crosshairs of one of Ireland's most dangerous criminal organizations, the Kinahan cartel. His only crime was being the brother of Gerry the monk Hutch, a figure well known in Dublin's criminal underworld. The roots of the Kinahan-Hutch feud can be traced back to a series of events that culminated in a shocking attack at the Regency Hotel in Dublin. During this incident, a boxing weigh-in event turned into a bloodbath when gunmen stormed the hotel, resulting in the death of David Byrne, a key member of the Kinahan organization. In the aftermath, the Kinahan cartel, believing the attack to be orchestrated by the Hutch family, launched a campaign of retaliation that would spare no one associated with the Hutch name. John Hutch became a prime target in this vendetta. The Kinahan cartel, in their thirst for revenge, accused John of being one of the getaway drivers in the Regency Hotel attack. This accusation, though never substantiated with evidence or mentioned in the subsequent trial, was enough to mark John for death in the eyes of the cartel. The human cost of this feud was staggering. John Hutch endured the loss of a brother and two nephews to the ongoing violence. In May 2016, his son Gareth fell victim to the feud, shot dead near his car outside the Avondale House flats. The family, still reeling from this loss, faced another close call just 3 months later, when John's other son, Jonathan, narrowly escaped an assassination attempt while on holiday in Majorca. The incident in Majorca highlighted the far-reaching tentacles of the feud. Jonathan Hutch, seeking respite from the constant threat in Dublin, had no idea that the Kinahan-Byrne organized crime group had a presence on the island. In a tragic turn of events, while Jonathan managed to evade the assassin sent by the cartel, an innocent council worker named Trevor O'Neill lost his life in a case of mistaken identity. This series of events underscored the indiscriminate nature of the violence, where even those attempting to escape the conflict found no sanctuary. As the Hutch family grappled with grief and constant danger, another player entered the stage of this deadly drama. Michael Carroll, a notorious figure in Dublin's criminal underworld, saw an opportunity in the chaos of the Kinahan-Hutch feud. Carroll's background was a tapestry of criminal activity, a seasoned petrol station robber with a history of violence and a severe drug addiction. His rap sheet boasted nearly 60 convictions, ranging from robbery and theft to drug offenses and weapons charges. Carroll's ambition to climb the ranks of organized crime aligned perfectly with the Kinahan cartel's aggressive campaign against the Hutch family. Struggling with a substantial drug debt to the cartel and responsible for the loss of 3 valuable drug stashes, Carroll saw a chance to settle his dues and gain favor with one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Ireland. The senior figures in the Kinahan cartel, preferring to keep their hands clean, found in Carroll a willing executioner. Under the direction of Fat Freddie Thompson, a high-ranking member of the cartel, Carroll was tasked with carrying out acts of violence against specific targets, including John Hutch. This arrangement suited both parties. The cartel could maintain plausible deniability, while Carroll saw a path to power and prestige within the organization. Carroll's first major act in service of the Kinahan cartel was the attempted assassination of John Hutch in September 2016. The attack, while unsuccessful, demonstrated Carroll's commitment to his new employers and set the stage for further violence. 6 months after the attempt on John Hutch's life, Carroll struck again. This time his target was Edward Staunton, another relative of the Hutch family. In a single night, Carroll made 2 attempts on Staunton's life, first in a hit-and-run incident and then, more directly, with gunfire. The brutality of these attacks shocked even hardened observers of the feud. Staunton, like many of the Hutch family's associates, had no known involvement in criminal activities, making him an innocent victim of a conflict that had spiraled far beyond its original participants. Carroll's involvement in the Kinahan-Hutch feud ultimately led to his downfall. His actions, captured on CCTV and corroborated by witness statements, left a trail of evidence that eventually caught up with him. After fleeing to the UK, Carroll was extradited back to Ireland to face charges for his crimes. The legal proceedings against Carroll shed light on the extent of his involvement in the feud. He admitted guilt to attempting to kill Edward Staunton and possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life in the case of John Hutch. The court handed down a severe sentence, a total of 22 years in prison for his roles in both attacks. This sentence not only removed a dangerous individual from the streets, but also sent a strong message about the consequences of participating in organized crime. While Carroll faced justice for his actions, the impact of the feud on John Hutch and his family continued long after the immediate threat had passed. For 3 years following Carroll's attack, John lived a life marked by constant fear and vigilance. The stress of being a marked man took an immense toll on his physical and mental health. John Hutch's final years were a stark contrast to the life he had known before becoming entangled in the feud. He abandoned his job as a taxi driver, unable to risk exposure to potential assassins. His home, once a place of comfort, became a fortress, heavily secured, but also a constant reminder of the danger that lurked outside its walls. The tragic irony of John Hutch's story reached its conclusion when he died not at the hands of a hitman, but in a fall at his own home. On the day of his death, what should have been a routine outing, an afternoon spent having a few drinks, ended in tragedy. Upon returning home, John fell down the stairs, suffering a severe head injury. Despite the swift response of armed guards stationed nearby and emergency medical efforts, John passed away 2 days later due to his injuries. The circumstances of John Hutch's death raise poignant questions about the long-term effects of living under constant threat. His family and associates firmly believed that the stress and fear induced by the Kinahan cartel's relentless pursuit directly contributed to his untimely demise. In a cruel twist of fate, the very home that had been his sanctuary became the site of his final moments. That's it for today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe and post in the comments section and tell me what videos you would like to see next. Thank you, and I will see you next time.